Welcome back to Design Smith. Last night I saw Charly Bliss up in Nashville and my voice is still in recovery. This was an amazing show and I got there so early that I was able to meet the band before the show, and that was an awesome experience. They didn't have any posters at all for this show, so I figured I'd make one in today's video. Before we get started, please subscribe to support the channel. Alright, so I have no clear direction here as to where this poster is going to go, but I do love this picture that I took at the show last night, and I just thought it was a really cool pose that she was doing. She was all over the stage. It's actually really difficult to get a crisp and clear image of her, but I actually got this one, and I just think it's so cool. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do here is I'm going to trace around her and actually create a vector piece of art out of her, and then I'm going to use this on the actual poster itself. Maybe I'll do something with the set list since I was able to actually get her set list. I have a record of the songs that they did, so I think I'm going to do something like that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is select the image. We're going to drop the opacity down to about 50%, and I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to go to my pencil tool, and what we're going to do is change this to black. I'm going to double click on the pencil tool, and we're going to move this a little bit more towards accurate. I'm not going to go entirely all the way over to the left. I want a little bit more of that smoothness there. I just want it to appear a little bit more detailed without getting too rough. And I'll just keep all of these settings by default. All right, so this is going to be the most time-consuming piece, so I'm going to speed up this portion of the video. All right, for the most part, I think we got everything. So let's go ahead and select everything that we just traced and bring this over here. And now let's swap the fill and the stroke. And it looks like we have almost everything except for this little area right here. So let's just fill this in. All right, that's looking really cool. So now I'm gonna unlock this over here and bring this over here. And now let's grab our shape of Eva. And we have all these different paths that are kind of overlapping on each other, so we need to fix that. Let's go over here to Pathfinder and click on Unite. And now this is all one continuous shape. And we need to go in here and add a little bit more in this section. So we'll fill that in. And let's go in and with our direct select tool, just move that anchor point right back there. Okay, and now we'll select everything and Unite. And our focal point for the poster is now traced. All right, and even during that time, I had no idea where I was really going with this, so I'm just gonna kind of play around and see what works best. Maybe I'll do something like putting it down at the bottom, and then we'll back it off by 2 inches or so. And what I think I'll do is make a list of the set list. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I kind of have a rough vision about what's going on here, so what I need to do is very quickly count all of these items right here. Okay, so we have a total of 20 songs right here, so what I'm thinking that we'll do is do a collection of these really cool distorted pieces of text that we're going to use with Envelope Distort. So let's switch over to our pencil tool, and I'm going to change this a little bit more in the smooth direction, not all the way over, but we're just going to get mostly there. I'm gonna hit OK. And what I'm gonna do with the pencil tool is just kind of roughly draw some shapes. They don't necessarily have to be geometrically correct or really close to each other or anything like that. I'm just gonna draw 20 random shapes. All right, good, we do have 20. And now the next thing I'm gonna do is find out what font we're gonna use for these songs. I kind of wanted to have a handwritten type of quality here, so I'm gonna go in here and figure out what we can do. Okay, this font right here is really cool. I think that it'll work really well for this type of poster. I want something that's kind of handwritten but also nice and bold at the same time, because what we're going to be doing with the Envelope Distort, it's going to be distorting the type. So we need to make sure that it's still legible whenever we do that, with still having that handwritten quality, and I think this will work just fine. I'm not going to worry about kerning everything to make this look perfect, but I am going to go over here and just switch it over to optical kerning. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create outlines, and then next I'm going to ungroup everything. And what we need to do now is go through each one of these song lines and group all of them together so that they're all separate but individual units. Okay, so now comes the fun part. What we're gonna do is use the envelope distort, and we're gonna blend this type with these shapes. And the first one I'm gonna do is DQ, and I'm gonna select probably this one right here, and we're gonna go up here to Object, Envelope Distort, and Make with Top Object. And as you can see, it took the type and it's now distorting it inside of that actual shape there. And so all that we have to do now is follow that exact same process with all of these songs. And then for the vertical ones, I definitely recommend rotating the type first so that it actually fits vertically right there. And then if you run into any situations like this where it's a little bit more difficult to read, what you can do is go up here to the top left of the envelope and click on Edit Envelope. And then use the Direct Select tool to select those anchor points and just kind of distort it a little bit less right here to make it a little bit easier to read. You may have to grab multiple anchor points just to kind of stretch it out or in a little bit, but you can always edit the envelope after you create it. And then for something like this that kind of rises up a little bit, I would recommend rotating it slightly up so that it kind of follows that path. And I really am just placing all of these randomly. I'm not trying to keep them in order or anything. And I definitely have to mention that they did cover Steal My Sunshine, and it was amazing. This will be interesting to see how this works, because that's kind of a strange shape. That doesn't work really well. We may have to replace it with a different shape. Yeah, I think I'm going to just kind of bring this one in a little bit. It needs to be a little bit taller than it is wide. All right, that's looking really cool right here. And we do have some negative space down here at the bottom, and that is intentional because what I want to do is add in the opening act right here and then the city and the venue right down here. So I'm going to do that. All right, that's looking really cool, and for some reason I want to add in some little things in between these little sections right here, and I think I'll just do a whole bunch of circles. That just seems really cool because these kind of look like chat bubbles a little bit, and I don't know if I was necessarily going for that, but that's just what the vibe is giving me, so I think I'm going to just fill this in with circles, maybe some hollow ones and some filled ones, so we'll just kind of see what happens. All right, the next thing that we need to do is expand all of the type that is inside of an envelope distort. And unfortunately, we have to do it individually. So we're going to select this first one right here, and we're going to go up here to Object, Expand, and Expand Object and Fill. And I'm just going to repeat that process 19 more times. Okay, there were a lot of lights at last night's show, but the two prominent colors were purple and green, and I just thought it worked really well. So what I'm going to do is go in here and randomly color different things purple and green. I'm just going to lay down these two colors right here. And I think those two will be just fine. We can always adjust it later if we want to. Okay, since I'm probably going to put this on a black background, let's see if we can go ahead and lighten up those colors just a little bit. So I'm going to put a background color into here that is almost 100% black. We'll just, you know what, we'll just go ahead and make it 100% black. And that purple is a little on the darker side, so let's go over here to select same fill color. And I'm just going to go in here, double click on this. We're just going to bring that purple up to where it's nice and bright. And then we'll do the same thing with the green, just to make sure that it has a nice pop against the black and the purple. Okay, that's looking really nice. Now, this is ready to bring into Photoshop. So let's go ahead and get rid of this black background. Select all of our artwork here. I'm going to hit copy. And I've got a document set up here in Photoshop. It is 18¼ by 24¼ because I'm definitely going to have this printed. And now we're going to paste as a smart object and then hit OK. I'll go ahead and center this exactly where it needs to go. And let's go over here and make sure that our background layer is active because I'm going to add a solid color layer. We're going to go down here to around 10% black. I'm going to add in just a touch of saturation there. And I have a couple of dust and scratches layers that I'm going to lay on top of this. Let's bring it all the way to the top. And I'm going to rotate this really quickly and then expand across our canvas here. And we'll change our blending mode to overlay and just kind of see how that looks. I want to zoom in really quickly and see what kind of details we're getting here from that dust and scratches layer. I'll probably end up going with subtract. That actually is looking pretty cool. I'm going to add another one here just to give a little bit more detail, just to kind of fill in those areas there. And we'll probably play around with alternate blending modes. And I'm just going to cycle through these and see which one looks cool. Lighten looks really nice. All right, so on divide, let's see what happens when we invert the colors here. Okay, that is perfect. It's exactly what I'm looking for. All right, I'm going to add a layer on top here. We're going to call this grain, and let's fill it with 50% gray. Now let's go over here to filter, camera raw filter, and I'm going to crank up the grain all the way up, size and roughness as well. And hit OK. And we're going to change the blending mode on this to overlay. All right, now I'm going to add a slight blur to this artwork to make it look like the ink is actually sinking into the paper. So with my artwork selected, I'm going to go up here to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. 200 is definitely too much, so we're going to bring this down to about a 3. And I think that looks really nice. All right, so here's our Charly Bliss Exit In Nashville show from October 8th, 2024. I saw them last night, got to meet them before and after the show, and it was just awesome. I hope I taught you something in Illustrator or Photoshop today, and I hope this video was valuable to you. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.